If anyone has seen Councilman Ivy, right on cue, right on cue. Welcome to Washington City Hall. We're here this late afternoon for our workshop meeting. We have two items on the agenda. It's Wednesday, October 11th. And at this time, Council, I will look to you for an approval of the agenda as outlined.
I'll make a motion we approve the work session agenda for October 11th, 2023.
Have a motion by Councilman Coates.
Second.
Second by Councilman Martinson. All in favor?
Aye.
The agenda is approved. We'll move on to our first item of business, which is an introduction to the Council of the Tourism and Greater Zion Office with Washington County and the TRT process. So we are fortunate to have the Director of Greater Zion, Brittany McMichael, and her assistant, Jamie.
Thank you so much for having us here today. I appreciate the opportunity. I am Brittany McMichael, Director of the Greater Zion Convention and Tourism Office. And just a little intro, I have worked for Washington County for 25 years this month. I started at the Dixie Center and worked there until 2008. I transitioned over to the tourism side. When Kevin Lewis was made director of the tourism office in 2017, I was asked to step in as assistant director. And then when Kevin decided to just totally ruin both of our lives,
Leave
and move to Washington last fall, I was asked to step in as interim director, and the position became permanent in April.
So, you know, Brittany, he moved from
Washington,
from a great Washington to a lesser Washington.
Totally agree with you. Yes. Yeah. Now, he might not agree, but I think that's exactly true. But we do miss him, and we worked so well together. And so anyway, here I am, and I'm thrilled to lead the Greater Zion team. It's a phenomenal team, and I do appreciate the county commissioners and their trust in my leadership. So happy to be here today.
And can I just interject too? So if you were at the RISE event, and some of you were there, you heard her, and when I was listening to that, I just said, we've got to get Brittany in front of the council and dig a little deeper. So I felt to just say thank you and give the council a little bit of context to this evening.
Appreciate that. So when I was asked to present at the RISE Summit, the first question was, what is the theme? And I was immediately told that the theme would be connections. And I was so excited because tourism connects people to people, tourism connects people to place, tourism connects people to community. Tourism even connects people who don't like tourism to people who really don't like tourism via some, colorful Facebook exchanges, but that's a topic for another day. But I wanted to make it relevant to the businesses and to the government leaders that were in the room. And that's a little tricky because tourism is connected to everything. And it's difficult to drill down a little bit and make it so that we can cover all that we need to cover in 20 minutes. The bottom line is that if our local leaders and our local businesses don't understand the value of tourism and don't understand what we're doing, tourism will not thrive in a community. Sure, tourism will always exist, people will always visit, but it won't be nearly as successful. And as we know, tourism is one of our largest industries in Washington County, so it's pretty imperative that it carries on. So recently we received some numbers from the Kem Gardner Policy Institute regarding what our visitors are spending in Washington County. So in 2022, visitors spent over $905 million in Washington County. There were about 8,845 direct tourism jobs with an additional 3,000 indirect tourism jobs. And the county collected over $21.4 million in tourism-related taxes, including transient room tax, restaurant, and leasing tax. Another study that came out recently by the National Park System shows the economic output contributed to gateway communities surrounding Zion National Park to be over $960 million. So just under $1 billion. And I did a little research, and in Washington City, you implemented the 1% innkeeper tax or transient room tax back in 2019. And it looks like you've collected over $300,000 in 21 and almost $350 in 2022, and looks like you're spending, or you're going to be collecting similar amounts here in 2023. So it's making an impact to the Washington City budget as well. And also I figured out that Washington City accounts for about 9.6% of TRT collections in the county. So, and as you're adding hotels and short-term rentals, obviously that number will increase.
It's funny, we actually have a hotel item on our next meeting. So yeah,
yes.
we anticipate adding 2 or 3 quite soon.
I just had a meeting with Shane Whitwer earlier today,
Yes.
so I know he's on the agenda. I wanted to just talk a little bit about what it is about our county. We have these beautiful, diverse landscapes, and we have so many activities. But honestly, what we hear from our visitors is that they feel something different here. They feel this close connected community that they don't feel in other places. And we know that if we lose that in this community, if tourism is just tolerated and not celebrated, the visitor will feel it, and it will impact the visitor economy. So today we are just going to do a little Tourism 101, and I'll talk to you about some of the programs and policies that we have in place that you may not be aware of, and then give you some ways that we can maybe connect further. So first of all, we'll do some Tourism 101. We recently had a video produced that kind of shows the transient room tax and the process that it goes through. So I'd like to share that with you now.
Greater Zion is a unique place that we're fortunate enough to call home. Known for its beauty, activities, and rich history, we're a region that provides a refined quality of life, inspiring locals and visitors alike. Greater Zion is a collection of communities and includes 2,400 square miles of majestic landscape, 14 golf courses, hundreds of miles of trails, conference venues including the Dixie Convention Center, a regional airport, Zion National Park, 4 state parks, and more than 300,000 acres of forest. It has truly become a sought-after destination and is one of the most visited areas in the southwestern United States. As a Washington County resident, you have a team of people in the Greater Zion Convention and Tourism Office to ensure that this popularity and tourism benefits you. How? The Greater Zion Convention and Tourism Office is a transient room tax-funded department of Washington County, whose mission is to maximize the revenue generated by visitors to create a superior experience for future visitors, while also allocating these outside monies back into the community through a self-sustaining system that develops tourism-related trails, venues, and facilities for all to enjoy. Here's how it works. Washington County receives transient room tax, or TRT, from every overnight stay within the county. A visitor to the area rents a hotel room, a short-term vacation rental, or a campsite. On top of the hotel or rental cost, visitors pay a 4.25% tax along with city and state sales tax, which the hotel or rental property owner remits to the state of Utah. The state issues payment back to Washington County. In turn, the Greater Zion Convention and Tourism Office follows strict guidelines set by the state for how the transient room tax funds are spent. In Washington County, at least 47% of the TRT collection must be used to establish and promote recreation, tourism, film production, and conventions for the area. This cycle of bringing visitors to the area, as well as the outside money spent, helps support local businesses, attracts new businesses to the area, creates jobs, and supports the community as a whole. The remaining percentage, up to 53%, goes towards developing local tourism-related trails, parks, venues, and facilities community members and visitors enjoy, including more than $30 million going back into the community over the last decade. These projects are developed through partnerships with community leaders and land managers and are approved by the Tourism Advisory Board. Many examples of projects supported in part by outside visitor monies can be seen throughout Greater Zion, including Tuacahn Center for the Arts, Snake Hollow Bike Park, the Fields at Little Valley, Zion Quarter Trail, and many others. Visitor spending provides additional benefits, including an annual tax relief to all Washington County and Utah households. If not for outside visitors' monies, community members would pay additional taxes to support public safety, road construction and transportation, health and human services, and education. A majority of cities in Washington County also receive at least 1% of additional TRT collection to be used for projects in their respective cities. Washington County is ranked third highest in the state for the amount of TRT collected. Additionally, visitors to Utah spend money on gas, groceries, recreation, sales tax, and more, which brings over $10 billion to the state and $911 million to Washington County. Tourism also creates more than 11,000 local jobs. As we continue to welcome these visitors, current businesses and community entities can thrive while providing opportunities to interact with diverse groups, while supporting a strong economic foundation for our community, elevating our quality of life. Each of us in Washington County benefits from tourism and the visitors who come to experience our home in Greater Zion. Inspire greater, experience greater, live greater.
I know that it's a little difficult to kind of take that all in, but it's also on our website and on our YouTube channel if you wanted to kind of follow up and watch that again. So we are considered the destination marketing organization for Washington County. And as the marketing organization, I think there's some misconception that we spend the bulk of our budget on sales and marketing, and when really it's just kind of a third of the equation. We kind of break our office down into three essential functions: sales and marketing, destination development, and destination marketing. It's kind of a process that starts with sales and marketing. So we use a wide variety of sources to hone in on specific audiences with targeted messaging. Well over 95% of our budget is spent outside of Washington County, and there hasn't ever really been a come one, come all message. We use very specific messaging, and we encourage our visitors to spread out, spend more money, spend more time, and then go home and hopefully tell their friends about the amazing experience they've had. We also insist with loving encouragement that our visitors take good care of our county through our stewardship messaging. And I actually brought one of these for you today. This is our Greater Zion coloring book, and it has all of our stewardship messages within this book. And we are starting to get these into the schools because we all know, any of us that have kids, that if our kids come home with this and start talking about it, we have no other option than to listen. So we want our kids to start talking about this now and start to understand what it means to respect the county and respect the place
Well, and your
that they
timing
live.
is perfect because this council, this group, we are budding artists right now.
Okay.
So a coloring book will be perfect practice
Well,
for
and
us.
Okay, perfect. Yes, I mean, similar pictures. It'll be great. You'll have something to do in your free time, right? So we also have a sales team that's actively introducing Greater Zion to new areas. We have 5 major tourism pillars that we focus on: domestic marketing, meetings and conventions, international, film, and sports and adventure. Each of these pillars is represented by one or more of our sales team members, and it's so important for them to know all of the new things that are happening within the county and within the cities, because as they're out selling the area, it's great to be able to have new things to tell people because we have such a high repeat visitor, and so they're always wanting to know what's new. Just got a little bit lost. The next segment we focus on is destination development. We use tourism dollars to improve existing tourism facilities like the convention center, and we also use those dollars to improve existing fields and to build new parks like the Washington Wills Park, which we'll be excited to add to this video the next time we produce it. We spend almost 53% of our budget, up to 53% of our budget on tourism projects. If you look back through the years of our transient room tax, going back to 2005, our total collections were about $1.76 million. So that gave us about $800,000 to spend on tourism projects. With a bond payment for the convention center of over $700,000, that didn't leave us very much money. Fast forward to 2023, transient room tax collections are expected around $15 million. So about $7 million will be reinvested back into the county via tourism projects. We have spent $30 million in the last 10 years, and we have a list that kind of shows just what we've spent in the last 3 years, and the project total is over $7 million. We get asked to meet with private development companies who are very interested in using transient room tax to build their projects. And although we're very excited about new projects and we will definitely help market new tourism-related venues, our legislation with the transient room tax limits our ability to help fund private development. Our destination development program is only open to government agencies, and we have an application process twice a year. We also, as part of our destination development, are focusing on film. Film has the potential for a massive economic impact. Many of you know we've been filming the Horizon: An American Saga, which is a Kevin Costner project here in Washington County. And we actually just received the trailer for this, so we'd like to show that to you now. If it's pretty short. It's pretty short, right? Joyce Kelly at our office has been working on film projects for a lot of years, and she said about the Horizon Saga, everybody dies. That's the bottom line. Everybody dies.
Well,
and Kevin Costner gets real mad when she says that.
In fairness, I mean, isn't Joyce one of the main reasons that we've developed this relationship in Southern Utah with Kevin Costner?
100%. Yes,
she's
absolutely.
pretty amazing.
Yes, and he gets very upset with her when she says that everybody dies, but you know, that's pretty much what happens. So the cool thing about those Horizon movies is that the first one, which that was filmed in Grand County, the second one was filmed almost entirely in Washington County. So they're releasing the first one in June and then the second one in August, and then they'll be back here filming the third installment here as soon as the strikes get over. So hopefully by the 1st of next year. So there will be additional films in that saga. So the next segment we focus on is destination management. We're managing to the best of our ability the tourism-related events in the county. We take it very seriously because everybody wants to have their event in Washington County, and we simply cannot and do not want to accommodate everyone. Outside of Ironman and a few other small events and conferences, the tourism office really isn't in the business of hosting events. We have many local and non-local event organizers that are doing a fantastic job hosting events in Washington County. So we help to support those events through our event and marketing sponsorship application program. So again, twice a year, we offer event funding and marketing dollars to nonprofit events. They come in and go through an application process, and we help them with event support or marketing support, depending on the application. It's this process we've had in place for as long as I can remember, and it's been really successful in helping to build up the tourism economy by helping to support these events that are bringing in so many people to Washington County. There's more information about that on our website as well. And so if you have events in Washington City that are interested in some funding to help them with marketing, just be able to reach more people, have them visit our site. We may be able to help, or even just call on one of us and we can give them more information about that. The last thing I really want to talk about is the Greater Zion team. I have just a fantastic team in my office, and these people are all so connected in a wide variety of ways, and they all have really great ideas. And so we have people that'll come in and they'll be facing issues and whatnot regarding events or how they maybe don't feel connected to tourism events. And take, for instance, Sarah Otto, our marketing manager. She'll sit down with a business and say, hey, have you thought about doing this during the Ironman event? Or have you considered doing that, and support with ideas? And we really do like when people reach out to us and say, hey, we've got a question about this or that. Can you help us to understand the processes? But all of these people in our office they're so fantastic. Typically, tourism offices with similar budgets have upwards of 40 staff. We have 11. So we wear many hats. We're fueled by passion. We do more with less. Some of us are kind of tired, but we have so much more that we want to accomplish. We recently had the Utah Tourism Conference here. It was actually about 2 weeks ago. So we had 430 tourism professionals from around the state come to Washington County. They were absolutely blown away by everything that we have going on in this county. Part of our hosting responsibilities was to put together a local tourism business panel. And as part of that panel, we decided that we were going to maybe do it a little bit different. And so we developed a video called the Greater Zion Groundbreakers. And it's about 13 minutes long, but I would love the opportunity to show it to you if we have the time.
Absolutely.
Okay. Sorry. A poor and worthless place. That was the first impression for early settlers arriving to our area. Many simply moved on. But for those who stayed, our original groundbreakers, they saw something here, something promising, something special. And it is their pioneering spirit that continues to inspire our communities, filling us with optimism, filling us with purpose as we continue to grow and thrive together. This place is greater because of those very first groundbreakers. This place is greater because of all the groundbreakers that carry on that pioneering spirit. This place is Greater Zion.
I am a fifth-generation Southern Utah native. My great-great-grandfather moved here in 1858, and he and his children and their children have been involved in the downtown region since that time. My great-uncle and my great-great-grandpa started one of the first restaurants, a hot dog stand, on St. George Boulevard and Main Street. it evolved into the Big Hand Cafe, which stood on that corner for 32 years. In 2011, we purchased that corner building, and we realized we needed to really celebrate the history of St. George. I have so much fun over at George's Corner when I'm hosting or bartending, talking to people who would tell me stories about the Big Hand Cafe. The city and the tourism board have done so much to bring this historic downtown back to life. Instead of being competitors, we were a team. And we created a restaurant group, and we created advertising for the retail and hotels and restaurants. And the town square really helped that all come together. We knew that the more retail and restaurants we could develop downtown, we could become the foodie spot. And just in the last 3 to 5 years, we have 4 new bars, many new restaurants. I was fortunate enough to sit on the Greater Zion Tourism Board for many years, and I learned how much they do for our community and how they are guiding our growth. And they have made this county into a planned community that brings people from around the world. When I look at my heritage and my great-grandfather and my grandfather, they were groundbreakers for this area. And I think we have a responsibility to continue that and to cherish our history and combine that with the future.
My family is actually one of the original settlers of St. George. My grandpa was kind of ahead of the game. He decided that he and a brother would open a hotel in Las Vegas in the late 40s. He ended up building another hotel, which is still here. It's on St. George Boulevard, and that was 1955. He told us that it was the first hotel in the state of Utah with air conditioning in the rooms, and the second in the state with a swimming pool. I look back at my grandparents, what they taught me is always working and trying to do your best and to improve things. I was 22, 23 at the time, running a 130-room hotel, still in college. I took over the Abbey Inn and I ran that hotel for 18 years. We have 10 hotels, and we're designing a Hyatt House that will be built in Washington, and then a really exciting project that will be right downtown in St. George is a curio that will have some amazing amenities and views with rooftop restaurants and bars to elevated pools that look out over the city. A majority of the hoteliers and really tourism partners collaborate a lot. You know, we talk about how we can improve together. We have world-class events in numerous ways. We have the marathon, of course, but we also have the Huntsman Senior Games. Ironman has had massive impacts. I think the fact that we were able to pull off all of these World Championship Ironman events shows that we've got an amazing volunteer community here. We've been groundbreakers, and then as we grow as a company, we hope to groundbreak even more.
I grew up in southern Utah, and I have actually spent all of my life coming to Zion National Park. My great-grandfather was one of the early Zion artists and would come to paint the scenery that was here. In 1984, my wife's parents, Steve and Judy Heaton, purchased this 12-acre property along the Virgin River at the entrance of Zion National Park with a horse pasture and pheasants and peacocks. In 2008, we opened Cable Mountain Lodge with its premier luxury accommodations. It was really the first of its kind here in Springdale. We offer the spa at Cable Mountain Lodge, the Trailhead Gifts and Gear, Perks Espresso, Zion Canyon Brew Pub is the flagship location for the Zion Brewery. The way our visitors see Zion National Park could not be possible today without what we've developed here in Zion Canyon Village. We're in a unique position with Springdale where we're completely surrounded by Zion National Park. I think we all feel that we are stewards of those that are visiting here and finding a way to make them feel welcome. There has been this spirit of camaraderie and collaboration among the businesses, and Springdale as a community really has come together to offer the best world-class experience for our visitors, both domestic and international. It really is difficult to think of anything greater than what we have here in Greater Zion.
We call it Tuacan Center for the Arts. We're surrounded by 1,500-foot red rock cliffs, and it's one of the most amazing settings in the world. In 1998, I got involved and suggested that we do Broadway shows and maybe do 2 or 3 of them to encourage people to stay the night, and it's increased the number of tourists who will come here during the hot months of the summer. And we doubled the amount of revenue and ticket sales from the year before, and we haven't looked back since. We want to be groundbreaking in every way so that people come here and they have an experience that's unique. There's things we can do on that large stage that you just can't do anywhere else. The water that we can rush across the stage, and in The Little Mermaid, we created a giant water curtain where we could project images on it. So we could put the Little Mermaid on a fly line, and she's looking like she's swimming under this water curtain backdrop with images of fish swimming all around her. We also do concerts every year. We're bringing in comedians. We've even done professional bull riding on the stage. We're going to be the first in the country to get the rights to do Disney's Frozen. We have over 350,000 visitors every year, over $100 million economic impact to the area. One of the groundbreaking things we're doing is we're expanding the size of our amphitheater to 2,500 seats from 2,000.
You're gonna love this show.
We are the benefactors of those who came before us, and I feel like that pioneering spirit has also been a part of what we've done here at Tuacan. What we do on the stage matches the majesty of this beautiful canyon, and as the community grows, we hope to continue to grow right along with it.
I was born and raised here, 7th generation. My great-great-great-uncle built the first home in southern Utah. My family's been developing and building for years. I've been doing land development here 25 years. During some of the filming of Horizon, Kevin Costner fell in love with southern Utah. He wants to continue to film here. And he'd been looking for a place to film an indoor space for a soundstage. You know, we just didn't have that infrastructure in southern Utah. So for me, that's what I do. You know, I build infrastructure. We have quite a bit of industrial property out by the airport. And if you look out in the horizon, you can see the Hurricane Cliffs. You can see some really great colors out on the Arizona Strip. And we're hoping to break ground in the first part of 2024. We know that there's more Horizon films to come, and we want to fill that need. We do want to cast a wide net. We want to bring in other productions, commercials, any television. Bringing film crews to southern Utah is amazing. They need housing, so they're staying in our hotel rooms. They need to eat, so they're eating in our restaurants. We're creating a new industry. I feel like this project is going to be groundbreaking. Love southern Utah, it's in my blood.
I got involved in real estate in the state of Florida when I was 18 years old. I've developed projects now in 17 states and 5 countries. Decided to settle down in 2004 and sold off everything to just do Black Desert. Tom Weiskopf is nothing less than a legend. He was an incredible golfer. He was an incredible golf designer, and we are very blessed to have had him design Black Desert. Black Desert will be 4 times larger than the current largest hospitality offering in the state of Utah. What makes it really unique is the black lava flow. The golf course does wind through a portion of that lava flow, creating incredible greens and white bunkers and black lava, but then surrounding us is the Red Mountains. So there's just an incredible array of colors and strata.
It's from the ground up.
We view Black Desert as not just a resort, it's a foundation for community outreach of not just the greater Zion area, but also the region and the state and beyond. It's a very collaborative space here where community leaders are reaching out to other community leaders, and we lock arms and we find opportunities and ways to execute and succeed. The most recent news is we have both an LPGA tour and a PGA tour coming to Black Desert in 2024. and 2025. And to quote the course designer for the PGA Tour, he said, there are fantastic golf courses on the tour. There are epic holes, but nothing will pop on national television like Greater Zion will. We're still pioneering, we're still building. There's still plenty of room to do exciting things and to build upon what those first pioneers came here and started for us to expand upon.
Our ancestors' pioneering spirit is alive and well within our communities, within our people. We are dreamers. We are doers. We are groundbreakers. We are Greater Zion. So that was something that we did for the conference, but it's something that we want to continue and to build on because it was such a fun piece to produce. And I think it's so important that we continue to honor our heritage here in Washington County and to celebrate all of those that have come before us and have laid the groundwork. One thing that you'll notice is that in that video, everyone talks about collaboration and they talk about the fact that we all lock arms and work through things together. And I think that that's something really unique to Washington County. Honestly, I know there are other places that don't get along quite so well. And I just really appreciate the opportunity to be here today. And I look forward to working with you all in the future. So thank you very much for your time.
Well, absolutely fantastic, Brittany. Thank you for your preparation. This was everything we had hoped for, and thank you for your work. There are a lot of exciting things happening in our backyard. Thank you. And I'm leaving these coloring books here so that you can color later. You can take them to your grandkids. You're welcome to stay. Okay, we'll move on to our next item, and I see Jillian Pendle, the Executive Director of the Dove Center, and we're excited to have a report again this year, and grateful for all the work that you do, Jillian.
I did send a PowerPoint. I'm not sure how I'm supposed to. I sent it over. Is that already on? Okay, perfect. Thank you. It's this, my clicker. Is it on? There we go. Perfect. Well, thank you guys so much for having me here. I'm excited to just really give you an overview of the work that Dove is doing throughout Washington and King County. I also want to thank Kurt for his involvement in getting me here. Kurt has been on our board for 2 years now, I think. He actually joined the board about a month before I joined Dove. So it's been great getting to work with him and getting to know him. And he also recommended that as I start today, just to kind of introduce myself to you guys as well. As I mentioned, I'm new to Dove Center. I've been the executive director there now. My 1-year anniversary was in September. So I've gotten to know things pretty well, but I'm still learning and getting to know everyone in the community. I came from Tampa, Florida, actually. When they mentioned Florida on the thing, I was like, oh, there you go. I came from Tampa, Florida, where I led an organization there for 8 years that was specific to working with victims of human trafficking. And so that kind of dovetails into the work we do at Dove a lot. You know, a lot of people don't know that not only do we serve victims of domestic violence and sexual assault, but we also serve victims of trafficking at Dove as well. And so, that's, I also think for me personally, you know, just the work that we get to do with the survivors that we serve, my favorite thing is when people, is just watching them getting to like that moment where they really decide to rebuild and change their lives. And I think for me, I myself, domestic violence is something that affected my family, and my mom was a survivor of domestic violence as a child. And so she was the first person in our family to break that cycle. So to get to watch people every day break that cycle for future generations is just really an honor for me. And so, yeah, I'm excited to be here and tell you a little bit more about us. Are you mostly familiar with the Dove Center? I know you guys have been raising funds for us, and also you're welcome to interrupt me with questions.
So
Yeah.
we are somewhat familiar.
Okay.
We've tried to be big advocates of
Yeah.
the Dove Center for many years, but we don't want you to skip any corners.
Okay, got
We
it.
want to be well informed and continue to be supportive and allies.
Okay, perfect. So Dove's mission is to empower those that are impacted by domestic abuse and sexual violence. And so we do that in a lot of ways through the Dove Center. Dove was first made in this community 30 years ago. And the one thing that I love about the history of Dove is that the way that it was told to me is it was started 30 years ago by a group of concerned citizens that really came together, knew that this was happening, and knew that at that time there was nowhere in southern Utah, probably in a lot of areas of Utah, where someone could go for safety. And so those community members got together, raised funds together, and first opened our crisis shelter. So we've been operating there for 30 years. Of course, we've expanded a lot in that time. And most people, like I said, know Dove for the fact that we provide shelter to those who are fleeing from domestic violence. We provide shelter and services to anyone that is looking to flee domestic violence or sexual assault. And so that can be, it sometimes looks like a single woman who's coming to our crisis shelter for services. Sometimes it looks like a woman and their children. And we've also recently had more male victims as well coming and seeking services. So we have been able to configure our shelter where we can serve all. So at our shelter location, we can serve up to 28 individuals. And so that includes families. So the way normally that 28 is a mixture of families and individuals. We are lucky that the way that we're set up, we can, if a family comes in, we can give them their own space with their own 4 to 5 beds that they can kind of, make that their space while they're there. So like it says here, we provide shelter services. We also provide probably one of the lesser known areas of Dove's work is our prevention work. And so we have a team of 4 individuals who their main goal is just creating awareness and doing prevention and education presentations throughout the county. And so that looks like a few different ways. Sometimes we're out at community events where we have tables and, doing, kind of bystander awareness, letting people know about the statistics about domestic violence. Or we also have part of those teams, we have groups that happen in some of the local schools, and they do presentations in the local schools as well. And most of that looks like kind of knowing what are boundaries, how do you know if someone's safe, and just kind of those conversations. Of course, all of that is talked through with the school counselors before those presentations are made. And then again, awareness. So those are kind of the 3 main ways that we achieve our mission. I already kind of talked a little bit about our history. So we were established in April of 1993. So this year we are celebrating our 30th year anniversary at Dove. So we're really excited about that and the community support that we've had. So I think it's always important to talk about why is Dove needed? I think most people, we've grown up probably hearing about the realities of domestic violence. We know that it's a need, but how does it actually impact our community here in Utah and also in Washington County? And so there was actually an article that came out, which I'll talk first about. So national statistics show that every 1 in 3 women in Utah suffers from domestic violence and will experience domestic violence in their lifetime. Statistics also show that in Utah, 1 in every 4 men will as well. And so we're actually higher than the national average in the state of Utah. And then KSL had an article, it actually came out just a few months ago that talked about in just the first 6 months of 2023, Utah investigated more domestic violence related deaths than it had done in the previous 5 years in the same time period. So unfortunately, this is not an issue that's going away. I think one of the questions I get all the time is well, why? Why is there an increase or why? I don't know exactly why. I know there's probably many factors that lead to that. A lot of the pressures that are just happening in our society right now. Also, when there's time of economic changes that usually domestic violence related issues go up. There's a lot of those type of pressures, I'm sure. But yeah, those stats are just to show this is still a current need that our community has. And unfortunately, as our area continues to grow, like we just talked about the amazing growth that we're having here, so will the incidences that we're seeing. And one thing, most of you are probably aware that in the last legislative session, our legislators worked to pass what was known as the LAP bill. So that was the Lethality Assessment Protocol bill. So a lethality assessment protocol is where all of our law enforcement agencies, when they respond to a DV call out or they respond to something and they feel like there might be a DV situation happening, they now have to ask a series of questions, and that's called the Lethality Assessment Protocol. So those questions kind of range. Most of them are they're questions along the lines of like, has your intimate partner tried to choke you? Have they threatened to kill you? Like those certain things. And within the questionnaire, if the answer is yes to any of the top 4 questions, they automatically will get connected to a service center. So the bill was passed during the session. It went into effect on May 1st. And at Dove, we've seen already a huge increase in the number of calls that we're receiving from law enforcement and the number of requests for shelter services and things like that. So just within the 2-month period, and that's true across the state as well. So I think on the one hand, we can say we're so thankful to our legislators because this was obviously something that needed to be passed because it's had an immediate impact and an immediate data. And so currently throughout the state of Utah, we've had in just those 2 months a 55% increase in high lethality calls. So those are the ones who answered yes to those top 4 questions that the police are saying, like, this is a person that could potentially be murdered or seriously injured by their partner. And so those are the ones who are automatically connected to a shelter service.
Is that why the numbers are up?
That could be why. So that's part of the reason. And that's kind of what that is talking about as well. So on the one hand, I think that protocol has given a tool to see, on the law enforcement side, what we've heard from them is like, it gives them a great tool that like, you know, they're not just going in with like their gut feeling, but they're able to say like, and also for a lot of victims when they're, you know, often when somebody is not ready to leave that partner, the defense of like, oh, it's okay, it's not that bad often comes out. But this gives law enforcement the opportunity to say, hey, actually, research shows that you answered yes to this, and this is way more serious than you think. So let's call this service center together and see what resources you can get. So with that, I think that has been the automatic increase in that 55% increase is definitely tied directly to the lethality assessment protocol. And with that 55% increase in the calls, we've had also a major increase in it's about 80% of those who, from that 55, were referred out to local resources and didn't seek shelter, but there's also been an increase in those who sought shelter from that as well. And so for us at Dove Center, that's probably one of our greatest areas of concern and excitement, because we are excited that people are getting connected to the resources that they need, but also the concern of, do we have the capacity with the increased numbers that we're serving? And so that's something that we're really working on growing and trying to, you know, dream more ways about how we can grow that as well, which I'll talk about a little bit. So I wanted to focus a little bit on Aaron's house, which is our location that's here in Washington City. So I kind of mentioned our shelter services before. So we have our crisis shelter, which our staff, we have a 24/7 staff at the Dove Center. So anytime, day or night, that a person who's experiencing domestic violence, they can call our hotline number, and there will be a trained advocate on the phone ready to talk to them and kind of talk them through their options. One of those options is the crisis shelter. Generally, a client would stay there for about 30 days, sometimes less. It really just depends on their needs. Our job is to figure out what are their specific needs and kind of how do they need to move forward. So we have some clients who they might have a safe family member in either our community or another place that they want to get relocated to, or they need to start working and save up money. And so our transitional housing gives us the opportunity to give clients a longer length of stay where they can kind of stabilize their income, stabilize their needs, and then kind of move forward in their life. So Aaron's House is one of our transitional housing locations. So we have 3 units there. And in that, I think with that, it's important to understand a lot of the individuals that we're working with at the Dove Center, when they come to us, most of them are making the choice to leave everything in order to find safety for them and their children often. And so they're usually within the power and control that may have happened in their lives. They might not have been able to work, or if they were working, they might have to leave their job because that partner may know where they were working and know that they can go looking for them there. And so there's a lot, it's literally people are starting from scratch. And I think that's sometimes hard, like as community members, to understand. For a lot of people, we have to completely we get them clothes, we get them toiletries that they need for the kids. We always try to have toys that they can pick some toys for their room because, think about our kids at home. They're like, if they had to leave every toy that they've accumulated over time, that's just really heartbreaking. So we try to have stuffed animals and things like that they can pick from. But the transitional housing really gives them a longer. So in Aaron's House, clients stay for closer to about 6 months. And during that time, they're meeting with case managers, they're going through therapeutic support. And so some of the things specific to that location, like I said, there's 3 units there. It also houses all of our clinical services. So we actually do support groups every single night of the week for the clients that we serve. So we have one that's a domestic violence support group. We also do parenting classes. We do one actually art therapy class where they do some painting and things like that. And then we also have some of our advocates there as well. But in that location alone here in Washington City, we had 256 individuals served with counseling in this last year. We also had groups meeting every night, as I mentioned, and also had 300 hours of family counseling. So that's one thing that our clinical team gets to do, particularly for the children who have lived through this along with that parent that's escaping. They also get therapeutic support and services, and then get to work together with that parent to kind of set boundaries for the future and how they want to, create new conversations in their family. And so that's a really powerful thing as well. And also our prevention team is housed out of that location as well. And I kind of talked about this already, just what our transitional housing does. So we are able to provide safe and affordable housing, access to resources, and a chance to save for an independent future. We kind of talk, so our current needs, like I mentioned, we've been seeing an increase in services. In the last fiscal year, our fiscal year is July to June, we had to turn away 45 individuals due to lack of space. Now, I always like to mention that doesn't mean that we just said no and hung up. We resourced them to other options, but these are all people that if we would have had a bed, we would have been able to put them in our services instead of having to resource them elsewhere. And so that's kind of our biggest need right now, which is why we do have some exciting news that we're working on growing our ability to provide services with more housing. We're in the process of trying to double our capacity with our transitional housing. So we've purchased a location where we can have 4 more units. And the benefit of growing the transitional housing is that if we have someone that needs some longer, like I mentioned, some of the clients that come into our crisis shelter, they might just need relocation services. They might have housing that's safe that they can get back to. But for those who need that longer term support, by having a place that we can kind of move them into quicker, then we can have those beds available for the crisis calls, if that makes sense. So we're really excited about that. But of course, still trying to think of other ways to meet that need of increased calls. And yeah, Kurt, did you have anything you wanted to add on that or any of that?
Yeah, Mayor, I do. Would you like me to present from here, from the pulpit? There's some things that I'm the only other board member.
Yeah.
What would you prefer, Mayor?
Well, I'm good with either. Would you like to present next to the director or?
Yeah, I think I do. So I didn't know if other board members were going to be here tonight, but there are some key things that
that'd be great.
If that's okay.
Yeah.
Please. And Jillian, you did a fantastic job. Thank you. Really, really good. Thank you for that information. And what an important service.
So let me talk just briefly about Jillian. When we were hiring, director. We did a nationwide search and we interviewed several people. And the thing I learned quickly about Jillian is her experience with trafficking. And that we kind of knew that was coming to Southern Utah, that it was going to be here. It probably already has been here. But with her experience, it's really been eye-opening to be able to prepare and to be forward-thinking in that. But we appreciate Jillian and her leadership. We are a board. We're a nonprofit, 401c3. We're not funded by the government, federal government, state, or local governments. We rely on grants, donations, gifts, and to jump right into what Jillian was talking about with this new facility. I don't know in your life if you've ever just known something was right, but you didn't really have it completely figured out. I like to call that a leap of faith, because you know that there was a righteous reason or a good reason for it. That's what happened in purchasing this. We've been searching hard, high and low, to be able to find more capacity because of the numbers that Jillian shared with you. We don't like to turn people away, and we know that the level of service that we offer is often much better than what that client would get anywhere else. So with that, we were able to make a purchase. The seller was willing to work with us on very specific terms. And we have a realtor on our board that really helped kind of cross the T's and dot the I's for us so that we could feel comfortable with this. But now it's our duty, our diligence, to reach out to the community and let them know what we do, how we do it, and what we need. And the truth is, we need increased capacity. And that is one of the assignments that I have at Dove. I do capacity and I do policy. But when you consider capacity, all donations are really important. Every donation, even $20 donations, make the difference in having shelves stocked with items that families wouldn't have otherwise. But the capital investments that are needed to make real leaps forward in capacity, be able to provide rooms, is what our goal is. And part of what we're doing with Dove right now is we're developing a policy that we could acquire gifts of capital size and portion, in that we could accept property or buildings and be able to utilize that. And so we're working on a policy to be able to do that, because as you know, the growth that we've had, it brings opportunities, but it also brings ways that people that are benefiting from that growth to be able to give back to the community. And we find a lot of people like to do that, but they don't really know how. And so we're working with them, and I shared with them how our city accepts donations and how we offer a tax letter for their benefit on their taxes, things like that. But we're in the middle of devising that policy with our attorney so that we can make strides forward, because the thing that we work on in our board meeting the most is we lament over not having enough space. It's hard to turn people away, because in these situations that Jillian shared with you, these folks are at the lowest point of their lives. Their whole life is turned upside down. And these little children that just need peace and calm, to be turned away, it's just heartbreaking. But I want you to know that some of the donation in the past that the city has made to Dove, it wasn't a big donation, but we were able to, well, it was really quite a small donation, but we were able to help finish the backyard at Aaron's house. And when I'm at board meeting, I can hear kids out there swinging. I got to be careful. Sorry. I get this from my dad. I apologize. But when you can hear kids out there swinging and using the playground, and knowing that, we've provided a little bit of relief for these kids that are probably having their worst day, and the parents that, they're just trying to find a way forward. And I like to think of Dove, if I could just use one word, provides opportunity. It provides a way forward for these families to be able to move out of their current circumstances and be able to get a life of meaning and quality. And so that those children have every opportunity that other children have, and that the parents have a means or a foundation so that they can get jobs and be able to live on their own and be independent and live the American dream that a lot of us really enjoy. It is a service of love. It's a service of need. we have events. This is Prevention Month, and there's a lot of activities, and I'll try to share those out at council meeting. But one of the most impactful meetings that we've had, or displays that we've had, is it's the shoes, the shoe exhibit, where the empty shoe, where they actually have shoes from women and men that have died in these situations. And shoes were kept to try to remember them and show what impact it has. As was said, 1 in 3 women, 1 in 4 men experience this. And as you know, the COVID years exacerbated the problem. Only when these numbers are going up, our funding isn't going up, and our ability to be able to serve these people is not going up. But I want to talk briefly, Mayor, about art in the park last week. So that's one of my very beloved assignments in the city, is working with the arts group. They're passionate, but the thing that's most inspiring about the art group is they're so willing to share their talents and share with other people their love for art, what it brings in people's lives. When a lot of people have despair, or they're sad, or they're depressed, art can be a means for them to transport themselves into a better place. Well, I'm sure that you know this, but the people that are listening at home, the Washington City Arts Council provided us an opportunity, city council members, to do a piece of art where we had a professional artist sit by us, and we were able to create that. Well, the whole premise for that art was that we were going to auction that art off and then give that money to the Dove Center. This is the type of involvement that sustains Dove. It makes us so that we can help those that are in need. And I can tell you, I've been on the board for almost 2 years. I've never met one client, because that's not my role. My role is to try to find capacity for those folks and be able to lobby the legislature for whatever we can get to help with those capital investments and the smaller investments or smaller donations that I've spoken about. But all in all, I want you to know that the Dove is centered, their service is centered on love. The employees that we have to have are paid like it's a service. They're paid well, some of them, as far as being able to pay the bills, but they could make other money, a lot better money other places, like our psychologists and our counselors and things like that. But my message, council, is that, we have a facility here in our city, and I'm very proud of that, because it gives us that opportunity to give back to that segment of our society that needs help. And our board is driven by that purpose. We have, I think, 7 or 8 board members, a very diverse group. But the one thing that we can always agree on, we don't always agree on things, but one thing we can agree on is our mission, and that is to provide the very best care that we can for the folks that are in need here. The movie that we watched this last summer that kind of brought home some of the trafficking in the world that really Jillian could tell you about. She lived it for a long time. She saw the effects of that. But it kind of opened our eyes a little bit to what, the world is like, and how we need to be prepared for that, for a lot of reasons, for the law enforcement side, but also for the counseling and the shelter side for those that are trying to get away. So, Mayor, council, anything that we can do to help, I would appreciate whatever that is from our city. We're not here tonight asking for money or donation or anything like that. We just really wanted you to know that we appreciate, and I'm speaking as a board member now, of course, how much we appreciate Washington City, and how that every time there's been a request, we've stepped to the plate and we've hit it out of the park. So speaking from the board members and our board president, we appreciate that. We're going to be around a long time, but I also want to make a plea to the folks that might be listening. If you have a piece of property or a home or any facility at all that you would be willing to donate, Dove would very much like to have that conversation. If we can utilize it for housing or for shelter, then we would do that. But if we could sell it and put those funds into other capital facilities, then we could do that as well. But as I said, we have a lot of people that have benefited from a good economy in the greatest place in the entire world. And a lot of people like to give back. But that's all I have, Mayor, unless there's questions that you or the council might have for Jillian or myself.
Well said, Councilman. Council thoughts? Anything to add? Questions?
Just keep up the good work. I love the Dove Center, and I know you do good work, so keep it up.
Jillian, any final thoughts?
No, I don't think so. If you guys don't have any questions, thank you.
Well done. We really appreciate that that presentation, and it's sobering information, but we appreciate the hope that you provide and the work that you and those you work with do.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jillian.
At this time, council, I'll call for a motion to adjourn, and we will reconvene here for our regular meeting at 6 o'clock.
So moved.
Motion by Councilman Coates.
Second.
Second by Councilman Martinson. All in favor? We stand adjourned for about 50 minutes. Okay, it's 6 p.m. We'll get started with our regular meeting this evening. Welcome, everyone. Today is Wednesday, October 11th, 2023. We are in the City Council chambers at Washington City Hall. Our meetings are also streamed live and stored at washingtoncity.org/meetings. Before we start, I would just like to excuse Councilwoman Casperson. She is appropriately with family this evening and will rejoin us next meeting. I would also like to excuse Councilman Martinson. One of his duties and assignments on the council is with the Interfaith Council. And some of you may know, but the Jewish community has reached out and they are hosting a peaceful rally for Israel tonight from 6 until 7 p.m. And so I've asked him to be there to represent Washington City and to share our support and our concern for that. So we are going to move forward without council members Casperson and Martinson this evening. We're excited to have a new member of our community here with us tonight. Major Bob Schmig with the Salvation Army, also representing the Interfaith Council, has been invited to start our meeting with an invocation. Major Schmig.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the privilege and for the opportunity to be here. Thank you for allowing us to be a part of the community. And we're very excited. Thanks to those of you who came and showed up at the open house. It was a very heartening for us. So thank you. Shall we pray? Father, we thank you for all the abundant blessings you give us. Right now, we think of Israel and all that they're going through. We pray for your protection upon them. We pray, Lord, for not only the Israeli citizens, but the Palestinian citizens who are affected in all of this, that your protection would be upon them. We pray for our national leaders, that they would make right choices in all of this. We pray for our state leaders. And right now, we pray for our little corner of the world here, Washington. We pray for each and every one of our council members here, the ones who are here and the ones who couldn't make it, that your protection would be upon them in all that they do, that they would seek you in all that they do, and that this meeting would be guided by you, and all that is done would be glorifying to you. We thank you for the young people that are here. We pray for your blessing upon them as well. We thank you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. At this time, I would invite our intern, Bree Wall, to come forward and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Council, before I call for a motion to approve the agenda, I would make note that we do not have need to go to closed session.
Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve the agenda for Wednesday, October 11th, 2023, regular meeting.
I have a motion by Councilman Coates.
I'll second that.
Second by Councilman Henderson. All in favor?
Aye.
The agenda is approved. Item 2, declarations and abstentions of conflicts. Anything to declare? Seeing none, we'll move on to item number 3, which is announcements. And we're kicking that off, Councilman Coates, with the Solid Waste District, with that committee that you chair over there. Hazardous Waste Day at the landfill, October 14th from 8 a.m. to noon.
Glad they let you know.
That is the only firm date I have between now and our next council meeting. Is there anything I may be missing? Okay.
Well, We do have elections coming up, so just in November.
Elections
They're different
coming up,
this year, so-
yes. Pushed back a little bit. Elections are coming up with the special election, with the vacation of Congressman Stewart's seat. The general election will be on November 27th. 21st. So if you listen to me, you'll be 6 days late, but watch your mail. You're going to get a yellow envelope sometime around shortly after the 1st of November. You're welcome to fill that out. And I am confident that if you like to cast your ballot in person on the 21st, you can do that at the Dixie Center. That's the polling location for the county. When you're not up for your election, you don't pay as much attention to the dates.
Yeah, we know the dates, right, Councilman Ivy?
We do.
Okay. Hey, I love seeing our Washington City Youth Council here in numbers, as they typically are for important events. Tonight, I would just like to turn to the newly elected Washington City Youth Council Mayor Reese Tanner, along with the Public Safety Officer Cody Esplin, to come forward, and they have a Youth Council proclamation that they'd like to present at this time. Mayor Tanner.
Okay, thank you for giving us the time tonight, Mayor and City Council. I'm Mayor Reese Tanner, and this is Cody Esplin. He's the Police and Safety Liaison, and he's going to present the drug proclamation for you.
Great.
Whereas the Washington City Youth Council want children and other youth to know about the dangers of drug abuse, and whereas we will ask children and other youth to follow the rules about not using drugs, and whereas we will set a good example for children and other youth by not using illegal drugs, which includes tobacco, electric cigarettes, or medicine without a prescription. And now, therefore, the Washington City Youth Council, along with the Washington City Council, duly declared the month of October 2023 in the city of Washington, Utah, drug-free, and encourages everyone who cares about children and youth to do the same. Signed this day, Wednesday, October 11th, 2023.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you both. Can you just tell us a little bit, Mayor, can you tell us just a little bit about the background and the significance of this Youth Council proclamation?
So, we just, because it's drug-free month, and we really agree with, or like advocate for kids not using illegal drugs, and so this is like very important to us.
Yeah.
So,
I think sometimes we think these things are obvious, but I love that this group, this large group of committed Youth Council members, is taking that initiative to spell it out and be committed and be kind of that example in your various schools and in your circles. So it just shows great leadership. Cody, can you just maybe, I know you're new to the Youth Council this year, but can you just share a little bit about what this means to you and how you might help advocate for a drug-free month and society amongst your peers?
Yeah, I think the drug-free month of October is very important. When I think of being drug-free, I think of my little brothers and sisters and how I want to keep them safe and keep them drug-free. So that's part of the reason why I do it. And also all the other kids. I think that when we're drug-free, it helps keep Washington City community a better place to live.
Well said, both of you. You're absolutely leaders on the council and leaders in our community. We're honored and privileged to associate with you. It's always special when you are here at our meetings. Mayor, with your permission, I'd love for those of us here on the stand to get a group picture with you and your council and the Youth Council. Is that okay with you?
yes.
Fantastic. We'll come down. Thank you. All right, I'm coming right in the middle here with you guys. Actually, let's do this. Mayor's got to be in there. Yeah, we got to hold on to this. Thanks so much. Thank you. Really appreciate it. Thank you all for being here.
He's pretty smooth.
So at this time, we'll ask, oh, thank you. Just keep it. Just teasing. Mayor Tanner, if you could just share a few more announcements from the Youth Council side, and then we'll continue on.
Okay, so we will be participating in the Meet the Candidates Night next Monday. Doors are opening at 6:30 and questions will start at 7.
And where is that?
At the Rec Center, Community Center.
Washington City Community Center.
Yes.
Perfect, okay.
And then our annual trick or treat will be starting at dusk at the Covington home. And we'll be Covington zombies.
Okay,
with the
starting
children.
at dusk on October
On
31st,
Halloween,
on
yes.
Halloween. And we expect nothing less than Zombie Youth Council.
You'll get a real thrill, so
Okay.
yes.
Fantastic. So those are the two main events coming up with the
Yes.
Youth Council.
Yes. Okay.
Great.
Thank you.
All right, we appreciate you. And stay. We're not, if I have it my way, it's not going to be a long meeting tonight. And if any of these council members are talking too much, just, give them the, or if I'm doing it, I'm already getting the same. Okay, let's move on.
I got a question though.
Yes, Councilman.
How many are from Crimson? Don't we have a football game to get to? Okay, we'll hurry.
Okay. Okay. So some of you may not know, but the city council got way out of its comfort zone for a fantastic cause recently. You may have seen us in the news. We're not artists in any way, but we have a Washington City Arts Council that is just doing amazing things. And so despite at least my efforts, I was not able to avoid painting. So we sat down and we each had our own mentor, and it's been about a week or so, and we were at the Relief Society. Most of us were at the Relief Society Hall, and with mentor, we each we did surprisingly well with our paintings. Most of us had a little bit of help. Show your pictures. They're really, really talented. Really talented. Yeah. So
I had a lot of help. I had lots of help.
But it was for a very important cause. And in our workshop session, we had the executive director of the Dove Center, Jillian Pendle, here, and she just expressed the need for those that are in abusive situations and the resource that the Dove Center is. So I'm going to, in just a minute, I'm going to invite the inspiration behind us to come forward and share more. But each of the paintings that we did as a mayor and council were then put up for sale, for auction, at our first annual Art in the Park. Was that what it was called? All About Art. That was in the park. I added that. But it was on Saturday. And so we were able to not only try our hand at painting and interact and support with the real talented artists, but we were able to do that for a cause. Appreciate Councilman Ivy's involvement in that. He has that assignment with both the Arts Council and the Dove Center. And at this time, I'd just like to invite Melanie Olson to come forward. And she is going to let us know who the People's Choice was. There was a little friendly competition. She's going to let us know who the People's Choice Award went to, and she's going to do the honors of presenting the check to the Dove Center. Miss Olson.
Well, we didn't see your painting, Mayor.
Oh, goodness. Okay. My painting was so kindly bought and then gifted back.
Whose is this one?
So that's the painting that I bought. So this is Delicate Arch. And, I'm pretty proud of it, actually.
You should be proud of it. You did a great
But
job.
I actually bought this painting, and I see the artist in the back, but we were sitting right next, maybe I don't.
No, I don't think she's here.
But anyway, one of the artists that was as part of the Dove Center program was there, and so I wanted to buy her painting that she did because she explained to me how therapeutic and how helpful that was for her as she works through some tough things in her life. So, Melanie, go ahead.
Okay, so we had a lot of votes placed at our event. So the public got to pick one of their favorite and put the number in the jar. And the winner of the People's Choice Award goes to Councilman Henderson, along with $100,000.
He took it home. So Councilman Henderson bought his own and kept outbidding me, so.
Mine's at my house. I
Yeah,
wish
took
I
his
would have
home.
brought
Yeah, I
it.
should have told you to bring it. I apologize.
Councilman, tell us a little bit about your painting. You were the only one that didn't have help.
Boy, so I have a brother-in-law that's a professional painter, and he does abstract art, contemporary abstract art. So I tried to kind of mimic what he does, and I watched a few YouTube videos, and I hadn't painted anything since elementary school, so I took what I learned on YouTube and went after it and got an award. So I'm very grateful for that. My wife is going to love this, so thank you very much.
So it was pretty impressive, I'll tell you. He came in with a plan. He says, I watched 3 YouTube videos last night. I know what I'm doing. I don't need your help. And he went right straight to work and knocked out a painting and was done before everybody else. So it was pretty impressive. So the money that we were able to raise selling your paintings, and then we also had just some cash donations. If we could have the...
Jillian, Executive Director of the Dove Center, if you'd come forward and we'll make this official. Michelle, do you want to use your phone or mine? Mine, okay. Okay, good.
All right, so we'd like to present a check to the Dove Center in the amount of $750. Is there any other questions you guys had for me?
Council, any comments, questions for Melanie?
I just want to say thank you. It was a great time. My son came too and did it, and we had a great time together. He's way more talented than me, but I did just send our IT guy Brett's things. I have a picture.
Oh, there we go.
Yes, I had it
is.
on my phone. I was trying to figure out how to get it up there.
So,
Awesome.
Thank you.
He did a phenomenal
Do you think it's
job.
possible? Can we do this? Council?
We'll stand by the screen.
With the award. I'll move out of the way.
Okay. So, and would you do it again? That's the golden question.
Mayor, I'll just say that was really fun. I mean, I had a blast doing that art, and and I told Melanie, I said we should do this every year. That was a lot of fun and for a good cause. So
We can make that happen.
I think that might be the plan.
Yes.
I know that when they first started talking about this almost a year ago, this Art in the Park, and they billed it as it was going to be the biggest art event that Washington City had ever seen. And I had the opportunity to be there a lot of Saturday, and the turnout was wonderful. But again, I'm going to say it again, I have been so impressed with our art group because they're so generous in wanting to share their talents. And it meant really a lot to me when they came up with the idea of having the council paint pictures, then auction them off and donate that money to the Dove Center. That I'm very thankful to be a part of that as well. So, we want to do it again. We learned a lot this year. We learned how to make it easier next year and maybe refine it a little bit. But I hope that this can be an annual event in our city for a long time, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman. I love to get pictures of these things, and I see some of our talented artists in the back. I would just like them to come forward to be recognized, if they would, and then the council will just join them for a picture. Yeah, come on forward, and if you wouldn't mind just sharing your name, or Melanie, if you could share their names however you want, it's just fine with me.
Anita Gardner.
Hi, Anita. I've known you my whole life, and you're very talented.
I'm Michelle.
Hi, Michelle.
Jerome Quenville. Thanks, guys.
And Jerome, who did you help?
I helped Craig.
Yeah, and show again. I mean, this is impressive.
He wanted black rock, so we got black rock.
I was worried that he had no talent at all, and look at this.
I've said it. I had a lot of help.
Okay.
But it was good guided help. That's all you need in life is good guided help.
Absolutely. All right, let's get that picture. Item number 4 is the reading of a proclamation. This is a mayor and council proclamation declaring October as Domestic Violence Awareness Month. As I mentioned earlier, we had just a fantastic presentation by the executive director, Jillian Pendle. And we have a long history of supporting the Dove Center and the crucial role that it plays in helping people heal from difficult situations. So at this time, it'll be my privilege to read that proclamation. Then we have just a few more brief items, and we'll finish up the meeting. And you'll notice also there's a lot of purple in the room, and that's because purple is the color for domestic violence awareness. So we want you to know, Jillian, if you share back with your board and your group that we are aware and we are trying to be part of the solution with you. Whereas it is a basic human right to live a life free from violence and abuse. And whereas domestic violence is a serious problem that occurs in all cultures and communities and does not discriminate by age, gender, social class, race, ethnicity, religious affiliation, or sexual orientation. And whereas 1 in 3 women and 1 in 7 men in Utah will experience intimate partner violence in their lifetime, and that 60 to 75% of families with intimate partner violence have children who are also impacted by the violence. And whereas seniors are also victims of domestic and sexual violence and are a part of the most underreported group. And whereas domestic violence related homicides account for over 40% of homicides in Utah, and 80 Utah children will witness the murder or attempted murder of their mother every year. And whereas awareness and intentional collaboration are required to find solutions to abuse and intimate partner violence. And whereas it is the role of local government to provide for the health, safety, and welfare of its citizens. Now, therefore, I, Cress Staley, Mayor of Washington City, Utah, in partnership with the City Council and the Dove Center, do hereby proclaim October as Domestic Violence Awareness Month. In Washington City, we urge all residents to use October as Domestic Violence Awareness Month to learn how they can break the silence and end domestic violence in our community. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused to be affixed the seal of Washington City, Utah, this 11th day of October, 2023. Item number 5, consent agenda. The consent agenda consists of the approval of minutes from the 9/27/23 council meeting, the board audit report of September 2023, and consideration to approve a local consent for the issuance of an off-premise beer license for Whammers located at 1970 South Washington Fields Road. Applicant Whammers Enterprises LLC. Council, at this time, I'll turn to you for brief clarifications and or a motion. If there's in-depth conversation, I would ask that the item, that you request that the item be removed from the consent agenda.
So Mayor, I do just have one minor clarification. I had a call from one resident wanting to know about the address on our CI. It's listed at 1970 South Washington Fields Road. If you look at that, it's much further north, and so that is not the exact physical address. I would just make note that it's probably closer to 2000 South there.
Staff, do we have a clarification on the address? Is this a final engineered issued address or a placeholder? While we're looking at that, I think it, and Recorder, I would look to you for counsel on whether or not this needs to be an exact address or if we can say at about. We need that is the exact address. Okay.
Okay, Mayor, if that's the case, I will make a motion to approve the consent agenda for our October 11th Washington City Council meeting.
Have a motion to approve by Councilman Ivey.
Second.
I have a second by Councilman Coates. All in favor?
Aye.
The consent agenda is approved. We'll move on to item number 6, which is a public hearing by raise of hand. Are there any in the audience who have come to speak to this public hearing? Okay, I'm going to forego my counsel, and we'll move on to item 6A. This is public hearing and consideration to approve a height waiver HW-23-03 for a 5-story hotel located at 1294 East Hospitality Way. The applicant is SWH Investment LLC and WH Investments LLC. Community Development Director Drew Ellerman will present on this item.
Thank you, Mayor. As stated, the applicant's requesting a waiver from the maximum height of buildings allowed for structures in the service commercial, or referred to as a C2 zoning district. The location is approximately at 1294 East Hospitality Way. This is the lot southwest adjacent to the Best Western Hotel, and we'll kind of show that here in a minute. The maximum allowable height as per the zoning regulations is 45 feet for commercial buildings. The applicant is seeking approval to extend the height of their proposed new 5-story hotel building to 65 feet at its highest point. And that is basically this area over here on the far right where you can see my arrow kind of dancing. It'll just be basically 65 feet at that particular part of the structure for that. So here's the hotel just at the elevations that are provided for it. Scrolling along, this kind of shows you a rendering. This is the Best Western right here where my arrow is. And then the building we're talking about tonight's right here. This is a parking structure, and as you'll see in one of the next slides, it's actually a 2-story parking structure to meet the parking for this particular hotel. And then the building over here isn't part of your decision tonight, but just for reference, is going to be a 3-story office building owned and operated by this same company. So
Drew, while you have that pulled up, can you point out what businesses are on? I know some businesses are on those other parcels.
McDonald's is right here where my arrow is.
Okay.
The rest of these lots are vacant.
Okay.
So yeah, the McDonald's is this piece. It's kind of got the cut through it.
Okay.
Just to give reference, because everybody knows where the McDonald's is there. So then we'll pull this. This kind of shows, here's the existing Best Western on the right-hand side. This is the proposed new hotel with the parking structure being a 2-story, and then that future office building that you'll all see at a future date for their conditional use permits. This bottom image just shows the Best Western Plus is a 4-story. So this shows you the comparison between the two with the 5-story right next door, and then they'll have amenity areas in between. And then
Is all the equipment screened?
What's that?
Is all the equipment screened?
Yes, everything.
Is it on the
If it
road?
isn't, we'll make sure that's part of their CUP anyway.
Is that the parapet that we see on there?
Well, they're hoping to get everything down inside on here, but again, we have a little bit of room if we have to come up, because the 65 foot is to the top of this flat area. So when they bring the CUP forward, that's always a requirement anyway. So we'll make sure it's screened.
If we move forward, this will be one of the highest points, and it's right there along the freeway. So I'd hope that we make sure all that equipment is screened.
Yeah. And like I say, hopefully applicant makes note of that while they're here tonight listening. And again, this is just a view from the back. Down below is the RV park that they have there that's in place. And
It's Settlers Point Luxury
Settlers
RV
Point.
Resort.
Yep. And then this is looking at it, from down the hillside cut, but this is from actually here would be looking upward from Settlers Point at both the hotels in perspective there. So that's what's before the council tonight. I'll be glad to answer any questions that I can. What I can, hopefully the applicant can do, but if there's any questions for me,
Council questions for
so it's a little easier for them to get these perspectives, not too costly. So that's just what we do. Yeah. So if the height waiver is then approved, they'll move forward to work on their CUP documents.
Thank you, Drew. At this time, I'd like to invite the applicant or the applicant's representative to come forward if they'd like to share anything on this project. And mostly, Mr. Liu, just tell us about it. This is exciting.
This is kind of fun. Appreciate it, Mayor, council members. This design is a new prototype from Hyatt. And I think, you got to be sensitive when you start looking at height in the community. I think there's only personally, there's only a few places I think this might work because of residents being, at a far distance and not affect their view shed or anything like that. So I think at the end of the day, it's a newer model, again, a prototype model. The height is on that architectural feature that kind of sets it apart. But I think that is what we'd like to present this evening for your consideration.
Questions for Matt Liu?
I'd just like to agree with you. That's a great looking building, and that's the perfect location if we're going to do a tall building, I think. So.
Well, this
Looks
area
good.
was set aside a long time ago for this very purpose.
Yeah.
And
perfect.
it was designed this way so that height wouldn't negatively impact neighbors. It's at the top of the hill, Settlers right there. And it makes perfect sense, especially after the conversation we had earlier with Greater Zion and TRT, that we are supportive of new motels and housing and travel infrastructure. So
I got a question that's not height related.
Okay, go ahead.
That hillside behind, who's going to take care of it?
That's a great question.
Because it's full of weeds. And when we looked at the Greater Zion video, it looked phenomenal. And I was like, who's taking care of the weeds?
Yeah.
So it's just a question that comes up because when we did the last hotel, we had an easement back there so that they could get back there.
We feel the same way. So we will definitely meet with the owner and get that cleaned up because we see concern with that as well.
Mr. Liu, are you able to, and if not, that's fine. Are you able to give an indication of the branding yet on this?
It's the Hyatt House.
Hyatt House. Fantastic. Fantastic. It'll be a great addition to our community. Be really nice. Go ahead, Drew.
Councilman, it looks like I just brought this up and brought up the property lines. You can see it's owned by Settlers Point. So we'll just have to send them a little letter, let them know they need to take care of their weeds. We'll be glad to do that. I was curious. That's why I thought I'm going to bring it up just to give this aerial anyway. And I'm glad you asked that so we can pass that on to them. So
Our client is also involved in the owners of Settlers Point, so I believe we can help facilitate that as well.
Yeah, come on forward, Mr. Whitwer.
I'm going to join that. Yeah, just to make you guys aware, the owners of Settlers Point, Shane Whitwer with Whitwer Hospitality and one of the investors on this, One of the investors on the Settlers Point Hotel also owns the RV park, and we manage that hotel. So we have a really good relationship. We've noticed the weeds, and I've already got maintenance guys out starting to spray those in increments so that we can knock
Perfect.
them down. Even though they own that property, we'll work closely to make sure it looks nice. So, and the hotel itself is going to be an awesome addition. 116 rooms, conference space. They're extended stay, so they'll have more, kitchenettes and things that will be great for working people, but also great for individual travelers coming for all the events and things we have in St. George, and a resort-style pool. It should be a great addition, and hopefully a great addition to the transit room tax collected for Washington City.
So, Mr. Whitwer, what's your build-out timeline on this?
We're still looking at another 6 to 7 months on the architectural plans. The soonest we would be breaking ground would be summer, and then it's going to be another 18 months at least to build the hotel. So we're 2025 before this hotel is operating.
Well, just to you, Mr. Whitwer, and your group and the other investors, we know that this is a big investment and this is a big commitment, and we just want you to know that we're committed along with you to seeing that whole intersection develop out and be something that we can all be really proud of. So we appreciate what you've done to this point and what you continue to do. Thank you both. Appreciate you. Council, I'll look to you now for further discussion and or a motion to approve the height waiver on this particular item.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion.
Go ahead.
I'd like to move that we approve a height waiver, HW-23-03, for a 5-story hotel located at 1294 East Hospitality Way.
Council, you've heard the motion by Councilman Henderson.
Can I make a clarification?
Go ahead.
Just that it's from 45 feet to 65 feet. And then I'll
45 feet to 65 feet.
second that motion.
Have a motion and a second. This is an ordinance, or this is a height waiver. Drew, you look like you have something you'd like to add before I call for the vote.
Just kind of curious, and we're asking, did we open and close the public hearing?
No, we didn't, as a matter of fact.
I
Thank
think
you.
we'll do
Okay.
that.
Okay, hold this. We've got a motion and a second on the table. At this time, I will open the public hearing for item 6A. Would anyone like to come forward? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing and call for a vote on this item. Henderson.
Aye.
Coates.
Aye.
Ivy.
Aye.
The height waiver is approved unanimously, and thank you for keeping me straight. This time we move on to item 7, which is reports of officers from assigned committees. Councilman Henderson.
I don't have anything tonight, Mayor. Thank you.
Councilman Coates.
Just one quick item. We had our solid waste board meeting on Monday. It was lots of items. We checked off the list, but the good thing is we have the RFPs out for the redo of the waste station and the office building, administration building out there. They have a pre-bid tomorrow for that. They've narrowed down. They did a pre-app for the contractors, and they're down to the 6. And so we'll have a pre-bid with them tomorrow, and then after that, hopefully we'll get bids next end of the month. I'm assuming first of year potentially. It's a little later than we wanted, but our goal is to hopefully get it going here in the first of the year, and then it'll be probably a year construction, 6 months to a year, somewhere in that. And then we'll have a beautiful waste station to go with our beautiful landfill. Well, appreciate your leadership and your chairing that committee, and it's a need and a cause that you've championed and made happen. So well done, Councilman. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilman Ivey.
Yes, there's a lot going on with legislative policy right now. There's a rush, before the session. There's a lot of bills. There's estimated it's going to be the most bills ever presented at the legislature this year, well over 1,000. We're trying to keep an eye on those, wade through those, but I'll continue to work with the league and bring those forward as they look like they rise to the top for a discussion. Mayor, I just want to mention that we had a nice event in Veterans Park last week, the Faith in Blue event, where our fantastic police department was there in conjunction with their families and with the Interfaith Council. They had a nice barbecue, and the families were able to come and mingle and be able to share some good conversation. And I know a lot of our councilmen were there, a lot of our council members were there, and And we were able to share personally our thanks for them and all they do for our community, and also with the Interfaith Council. That is
Yeah, a lot of representation
Yeah.
from various faiths.
Yeah, it's really good to have that, because we're not just one community, we're represented, we need to represent everyone. It was nice to have everyone there. The other event that I had mentioned, Mayor, is in conjunction with Fire Prevention Month. The fire department had a really nice event Saturday. I was kept hopping last Saturday from different events, but they had a really nice event at the Station 61 up on Buena Vista, where they also cooked hot dogs. They had a fire demonstration, and it was really just like the police event. The attendance was just unbelievable. They went to get hot dogs 2 or 3 times because they were using them all. But again, Mayor, just I feel like what the value is in our community, whether it's the Arts Council that was talked about tonight extensively, or the police or the fire, is that we're a community-based city. We're all about service and about helping our neighbors and lifting everyone as we lift ourselves. And that's the real benefit of being able to be part of such a great community that understands that, because that's really where success and quality of life really comes from. So that's all I have for tonight, Mayor. I have other stuff, but I'll save in consideration of time.
Well said, Councilman. Item 8, City Manager Report. Jeremy.
I don't have anything tonight, Mayor. Thank you.
We do not have need for closed session, so I'll call for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion by Councilman Coates. Second by Councilman Henderson. All in favor?
Aye.
We stand adjourned for 2 weeks.